is your position on this issue? We start with Mr. Kurrus.
Okay.
Big issue. No, I don't want to get rid of those positions. I want to study that issue just like we did when we put them in place 11 years ago. Okay? I'm not saying the system works, but I'm saying the system maybe hasn't had a chance to work. We've had the same two people as mayor and city manager since we started this system. I think to throw that out right now without really serious consideration of why it hasn't worked and whether it could work with the right people would be a huge mistake. And let me tell you a couple of things about our system that you may not already know. The mayor is the CEO. I know how to be a CEO. I've been a CEO of large organizations. I will fill up all the authority that the mayor is authorized to have. And that includes a number of things, something you may not know. The work of the city manager is to be performed at the direction of the mayor. Does that surprise anybody? When we have a community meeting, I won't send Mr. Moore out like he was out the other night. I'll sit right next to him and we'll partner up if he's the city manager and we'll work together, hand in glove. And I will be on the ground, boots on the ground every single day, working hard, just like I did at the school district. That's how you change organization. Your structure is one thing, but how do you work within that structure? The mayor has a lot more authority than most people realize, and that's why we changed the form of government in 2007. I'll study the board positions. I think that's important. Joan Hancock, I think, has been elected 6 times at large. The public is telling us something when they elect the same person 6 times all over this town. So yes, I'll study that. I'll put together the same kind of commission we had when we started. We had Fusion and Vision Little Rock. I'm going to have Fusion Little Rock. We're going to come together and we're going to work hard together and we're going to get to know one another and then we'll make good decisions. But I think to launch a new rocket right now when we really haven't run the one we've got right would be a mistake.
So I can tell you from going all over the city that there are 2 big things that are happening. One is that people feel like the government is very inefficient, that they can't get response quickly, they can't figure out how to get things done. There's a right hand, left hand disconnect going on in city government. And the second thing is people don't feel heard. They don't feel like they have a voice. They don't have a way to penetrate into government. And a lot of that has to do with the structure of our government. It's basically built to be dysfunctional. It's confusing. You have a mayor, you have a city manager. Mr. Kurrus calls the mayor the CEO, but really a city manager form of government is based on a corporation form of government where the city manager is actually the CEO. The mayor is more of a chairman of the board. The CEO reports to the board of directors, and the board of directors hires and fires the city manager. And so the mayor can't really tell the city manager what to do on a day-to-day basis, and that creates, really a house kind of built against itself. When you talk about the at-large directors, they're really, obviously because they have to run citywide, it's very difficult and expensive to get that kind of competition that you want. So the fact that, Ms. Adcock's been elected so many times is not necessarily a statement, about her support as much as is how difficult it is to unseat an incumbent. Part of the reason why I started an exploratory committee over a year ago, so that somebody can have a fair chance challenging an incumbent mayor or an incumbent city director in the city of Little Rock. So I definitely think we need a change. I think 12 years is long enough, but in reality, we've had this system of government longer, and we see it more efficient in cities like North Little Rock and almost every other city in the state that's chosen to have a mayor-council form of government that's more responsive, more accountable, more transparent to the people they're supposed to represent. Thank you.
I'm going to defend the at-large position. I want that, I think it serves a definite function. I live in Southwest Little Rock, so the last 2 or 3 elections I've run for state representative in Southwest Little Rock, part of the Libertarian Party. And to be frank, I just get clobbered down there when I did that. When I ran for mayor in 2010 and for an at-large position before that, I did much better. There are some things, some issues that are citywide, and where I think that the at-large position should be kept. I would also mention I intend to be a part-time mayor. The mayor used to be a part-time position. And I'm going to let the city manager run the city on a day-by-day basis. I'll just make policy decisions and come down and run the city director meetings and cut the ribbons and stuff like that. But in return, I'm not going to accept the full $180,000 salary that the mayor gets. I think it's redundant to have a full-time mayor and a full-time city manager. I tend to work about 1/3 time and accept only 1/3 of the pay of the mayor. And then I also expect to use the city directors at large as kind of like vice mayors. Those people are representing the entire city. So, that's my plan, to be a part-time member, mayor. Glen Schwarz, Mayor Schwarz, be with you.
As mayor, I will be a chief executive officer and a servant leader. I'll be a leader that builds relationships and trust with our city board directors to make certain that I can execute the vision that I cast, set comprehensive strategies, and move our city forward. The reason why I'm running is to unify our city and to focus on jobs growth. As a son of this city and a study of our history that's lived this history, I think it's out of touch to think that the at-large directors don't put a check on voices that are voiceless. There's no need to have many mayors that are directly elected by the entire city and have a mayor that's directly elected by the entire city at the same time. It's time that we have more wards in our city system. So in the Scott administration, I would advocate that we get rid of at-large directors, but what would we do? I think our city is 124 square miles. I'm for greater representation. We have 7 wards right now. There's a need for Southwest Little Rock to have 2 ward members. There's a need for West Little Rock to have 2 ward members. And there's a need for Midtown to have a dedicated ward member. So in the Scott administration, I would get rid of the at-large directors and advocate for that and move the ward directors from 7 to 10 so we can have greater representation where all voices are heard. It's time to unify this city. It's out of touch to think that the at-large directors do not prevent the voices of the voices from speaking. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucas. I'll be as succinct as possible. I am against at-large city directors for 2 reasons. 1, I think it dilutes the existing power of the city directors, and 2, I think it is politicized. So those are the 2 reasons I am against at-large city directors. I am a proponent and advocate of a strong mayoral form of government. I think we need to bring Little Rock into the 21st century. We need to get out of the antiquated, weak form of government where all 14 department heads currently report to Bruce Moore. Under my administration, all 14 department heads would report to the mayor because I think that makes the most sense.
Thank you, Mr. Toliver. Gentlemen, we've got just about 15 minutes or so left and 2 questions to ask. So if we could just keep things moving along, please. This next one's a very important question for our industry. Many policies concerning property rights are frequently debated and decided at the local level. This is an issue very important to LRRA and our members. We've worked closely with the current administration on many issues and hope that the next mayor will also keep an open dialogue. We want to make sure we have a seat at the table when it comes to those policies that impact our industry. What are your general thoughts on the importance of protecting property rights? And will you be willing to work with LRRA's various policies impacting property rights going forward? Mr. Toliver.
Thank you for the question, Lucas. First, let me just say this. As realtors, you can appreciate my frustration when I pass by empty property and the yard is overgrown or it's not kept. So as the mayor of Little Rock, I would make sure that code enforcement attacks very vigorously landlords and owners of property that let their yards go unkept and not kept up. I think that's important because it adds to the blight of the neighborhood. And so to answer your question directly, Lucas, I support property rights, but I also support holding property owners accountability for their properties. It makes no sense to have properties all over the city and we are not a responsible landlord because it doesn't do the city any service and it doesn't do the neighborhood any service. So if I'm elected mayor, I would like to see an aggressive policy where the city really enforces yards that are not kept up and property that are not kept up, that's not kept up and dilapidated throughout the city. I think that helps the city and I think it also helps the Realtor Association.
Yes, I plan on working collaboratively with the Little Rock Realtors Association. And yes, I'm a strong supporter of property rights. And yes, I will hold property owners accountable to make certain that our communities look and feel safe safe, to make certain our communities are vibrant, to make certain that any code enforcement issues are handled on time, being very reliable. Right now, we have 36 to 39 code enforcement officers. Only six can hold those accountable as far as road inspections. Another 4 or 5 for mobile homes. We have to address these issues because not only does it create a quality of life help, it also creates crime prevention. Because if those homes aren't held accountable, if those homes aren't figuring out things as it relates to air property rights, they become crime centers, which creates safety being an issue, which creates safety being a perception issue with our overall economic growth. I look forward to working with you all. Thank you.
Yes, as a libertarian, I'm very definitely in support of individual property rights. Yes, and I would love to work with the Realty Association. I think I'm just going to say yes. I'd love to work with you guys.
Thank you.
So, as I mentioned in my introduction, I actually have a strong record of working very closely with the Little Rock Realtors as well as the Arkansas Realtors during my 3 terms in the state legislature. And I think it's really important whenever you're making policy to obviously include as many voices at the table, and certainly important voices that represent so many people as the Little Rock Realtors do. So you can count on me absolutely to be a collaborative partner and to include you all in any decision that's being made. When it comes to property rights, I think we all sort of share a similar view on this issue. I think that we need to uphold and protect property rights to the greatest extent possible. The government shouldn't be intruding on people who are responsible property owners and people who are making investments in the community. If anything, we want to try to incentivize more investment in Little Rock and make sure that we're attracting that to our city and upholding the people who are already doing it. Again, like what's been said previously, though, I think your rights end when you start to intrude upon mine. And if I've made tremendous investment in my property or my neighborhood or my community, and your lack of upkeep of your property is affecting the value of mine, then I think that's an appropriate place for the city to step in, which is why we have code enforcement policies in the first place, and we need to enforce them fairly and make sure that also they're being enforced uniformly in every part of the city. And so you can count on me to protect property rights and to work with the realtors going forward. Thank you.
Obvious answer is yes. I started practicing real estate law in 1979. I was president of the Arkansas Bar Association section on real estate. So I've got a little leg up there when it comes to understanding the complexities of real estate issues. And it can become very complex. A lot of the properties I describe in that revitalization piece that's on my website have titles that are so tangled up that it's often hard to figure out who is responsible. And when nobody's responsible, we know what happens. Things get bad. And it's essential that we revitalize our city and we redirect our efforts so that people who work with our city, with respect to property rights, understand the object of the game. And right now, it's not clearly understood because we haven't had the correct form of leadership. The object of the game, whether it's planning and development, which obviously impacts real estate, code enforcement, which impacts real estate, solid waste disposal, all those things. The object is a neat, clean, welcoming neighborhood. It's not to send a nasty gram to somebody who didn't mow their grass. It's to do the right thing so that ultimately these neighborhoods are places where people want to live, they have a house, they want to sell it, and they want to pay a commission. That's what we're looking for here. And I say that facetiously, but that's what drives our economy, is people who want to be here. Retail will follow the rooftops, but all of that, the property rights issues are pretty simple in many respects, but they have to be driven by the simple concept of making this a place where people want to live. And you can read more about that, the details of that on my website. So absolutely, I'll support you. I'll be in a position to support you because I understand your issues, and I'd love to work with you.
Okay, final question. Gentlemen, another top priority for LRRA is education. LRRA believes a strong education system is vital for the growth of our city. Understanding that the mayor and the board don't have direct responsibilities when it comes to our schools, what policy priorities do you think are most important to the city of Little Rock in supporting and improving the K-12 system in our community, and what is your position on the state's control of the Little Rock School District?
just so, excuse me, just so there's no confusion, I favor local control. How many of y'all remember that I sat in that room for 12 years? I was elected 3 times. I've had kids in the Little Rock Public School District for 20 consecutive years. All 3 of my kids graduated from Central High School, and I handed every one of them their diploma. To think that I don't want local control, you'd have to be out of your mind. Of course I want local control. I was part of local control, and then I gave my heart and soul to that school district for 14 months because I wanted to get it back. Of course I favor local control, and I'll pound the table for local control, and I'll pound the table for our kids, because that's what I care about. That's what I care about. And if we don't start caring for every child, you can talk all this education who you want to, but it's real simple. You have to get to know the people, you have to get to know the kids, and you have to buy into the fact that every child in this town belongs to every one of us, belongs to me, belongs to you, and if we don't care, we won't get anywhere. Because the programs, all that stuff, I can run a school district, I did it for 14 months. I understand the issues, I won't forget any of that stuff when I'm mayor, and I'll be the best advocate for education this town ever had, because I understand it, I got a background in it, and I'm dying to work on it.
So as I mentioned earlier, too often, the quality of the public education that our students get is based on what neighborhood they live in Little Rock. And I think that's unacceptable. And as mayor, I want to be part of the solution. I want to be actively involved, because I think what's been missing from this equation is political leadership. I mean, what I haven't seen in Little Rock is a true effort to create a plan that includes the whole city, where everyone's voice is heard, where everyone understands the direction we're trying to go, and how every neighborhood is going to be part of that process in order to bring great facilities, great teachers, and by the way, a more comprehensible zoning scheme to the city, because a lot of people are so confused about why they're zoned for particular schools. We're overdue to have this conversation, and it takes political leadership. As mayor, I want to help lead that. If you look across the river at North Little Rock, they did what I'm describing. They went into every neighborhood, they took feedback, they created a plan that passed a millage, they built brand new schools all throughout their city, and that has helped keep people there and attract people to the city. There's nothing keeping Little Rock from doing that. We have a lower millage rate than most school districts up in Northwest Arkansas. But the problem is that people don't have the faith right now in the process that it's going to be treated equally. What they've seen is a new school over here or a new school over here, but not in their neighborhood, and it needs to include everybody. As a state legislator, I've served on the House Education Committee. I spoke up against the state takeover when it happened. I've been advocating for a return to local control. I want to work with our superintendent and an elected school board to make sure we have great public schools for everybody in Little Rock.
Well, you are, this isn't working now? Well, you are right, the city directors and the mayor are separate from the school board, separate entities. So I will concern myself with what I see after school. I live within a block of Wakefield Elementary School. Every day, the cars are just lined up where people are picking up their children from the school. It's not like when I was in school where I walked like 6 blocks and people, took bicycles and stuff. Now people are picking up their kids in their automobiles. I want to see that, return to the kids actually walking or riding a bicycle to school. And I think that the way the city of Little Rock can address that is there should be good sidewalks, good bike paths, radii hanging out from every school. You go over here on University Avenue at UALR, and right on University Avenue, as soon as the school stops, there's like a mud path that the students have to walk if they're heading up to university. I'm going to put a bike path and a sidewalk there and do that for every high school and junior high and elementary school in the city, to where we won't be using all this gasoline and all this time picking up our kids when they can safely walk to or ride bicycles to school. Thank you.
As the only mayoral candidate that's a product of Little Rock Public Schools, I'm in strong support of us returning our school district back to our citizens, number one. Secondly, as someone who understands that we don't have complete control over the Little Rock School District, in business I've often figured out and found out that the best way to have influence over something that you don't own, have governing authority of, is to become a strategic investor. And so as a mayor, I will make certain that Little Rock, the city of Little Rock, has a summer academy that's focused on grade level reading. We have a grade level reading problem not only in Little Rock but in the state. If a child is not able to read and write by the time they're in 3rd grade, they are already destined to be dead or in jail. And we have to stop that cycle. And if we focus on grade level reading, it will create transformation for our city, transformation for our jobs and economic development, and transformation for our population growth, because we will be focused on that. But we also have to have a mayor that's going to utilize political leadership to make certain that we don't go through 24 superintendents in 27 years. We have to have true leadership and someone who's going to be advocating for education, because education is inextricably linked to economic development for our city, that we reach our true potential. Thank you.
Let's be very clear, crystal clear. I'm the only candidate running for mayor who has been on the front line of returning local control to the Little Rock School District. Don't take my word for it, check the receipts, digital and print. Since the state took over the Little Rock School District in 2015, we have been fighting ferociously to return local control to the Little Rock School District. That's a matter of public record. So I will continue as mayor of Little Rock to fight for local control. I will continue to hold Asa Hutchison and Commissioner Johnny Key accountable. Just Tuesday, because the Little Rock School District opened to chaos via the gateway registration system, there were parents who took their kids to school with assignment papers in hand. They were told that their children were not assigned at that school, or they weren't assigned, period. The gateway system, which is mandated by the state, is a mess. And so I will hold the people responsible, Johnny Key, for that system accountable. In the way that I've done that, I've written a letter to the Senate Education Committee just Tuesday, asking them to summon Commissioner Key to the Senate committee to answer questions about Gateway, because it is a mess. And so I'm the only candidate who's running for mayor who has been on the front line of local control since 2015. As I said, it's a matter of public record and it's easily checked. So Vincent Toliver will continue to fight for the public schools in Little Rock School District if I'm elected, or when I'm elected in November. I thank you for your time. It's been a great pleasure to be able to visit with you and answer your questions, and I look forward to working with you as mayor of Little Rock.
With that concludes our program. Gentlemen, again, thank you for your interest in serving our city. Thanks for being here today. I'm going to turn it back over to Derek. Before I do, again, let's give a big round of applause.